Welcome to How We Grow, an essential playbook to grow and scale your vacation rental business with advice and insights from the best in the biz, with your host, Lynell Gordon. Hi, I'm Lynell Gordon with How We Grow, the Vacation Rental Show. And I have a very unique guest here today. His name is Ed Middlebrooks. And Ed, gosh, I have to tell you, you are probably one of the most unique business models of anyone I've ever met. And I've been in business a long time. So tell me about the Prosperity Club you have. Let's talk a little bit about it.
Absolutely. So my name is Ed Middlebrooks, and the Prosperity Club comes from the fact that I'm known as the elite wealth strategist. I literally teach wealth strategies of the elite so that you can get what you're after in life. The Prosperity Club really began because I have a short-term rental portfolio. And in the short-term rental portfolio, when I first got my introduction into coming out of a full-time job and into entrepreneurship for myself, it was scary. And I had a mental breakdown the first time I tried it, not knowing where my next check was coming from and how am I going to cover all these bills, and everybody's been there.
Yes, of course we have.
Yeah, absolutely. And so not long after leaving my job did I go back to work for another company. Mm-hmm. And it was about 2 years later that I realized I had started to build up a short-term rental portfolio completely by accident as I was in real estate investing.
Oh, yeah.
And Which
we all love. Anybody in vacation rentals, we love that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was investing in properties, and one of them I just couldn't find my lease option tenant. So I thought, hey, why not try Airbnb? Mm-hmm. Fast forward a couple years later, this property is doing great. It's making massive cash flow, and I met a gentleman by the name of Marshall Silver, and Marshall Silver is known as the world's greatest hypnotist, and he's a magician, and he has Prosperity Palace, the LLC in Las Vegas, Nevada.
How cool is that?
I know. And he hypnotized me to realize that everything I want was on the other side of the things I've been doing. He said, Ed, you're like a trapeze artist that won't let go of the previous rung because you're afraid, and you need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And at that moment, I quit my job. I stopped being an IT guy, and I stepped into being a man of certainty. And I haven't looked back since.
They teach that. I'm a real estate broker as well, and I went through Keller Williams and all their training, and they teach that actually on the other side. They do teach that. It is definitely a business technique, not just a kind of interesting exercise. It's a technique for meeting your goals. So tell me a little bit about, first of all, everybody on the show tells me a little bit about, they're going to give me an owner story and a guest story. So tell me your guest story.
Okay. So we're approaching 1,000 guests right now across the entire portfolio. I should, full disclaimer, we've been in short-term rentals for about 2.5, 3 years. We had 3 short-term rentals last year. Now we are working on our 16th property.
Wow, that's quick growth.
That is very fast. This is what happens when you step into certainty and you start moving forward and you take action now in the present moment. And the Prosperity Club came about literally because of the short-term rental rules and regulations.
Okay, this is cool, guys. Here's where it gets, you have to tell the story, but
I will.
This is based, you just heard what he said, right? Rules and regulations.
Rules and
We're
regulations.
talking about government affairs kind of thing, so.
Yeah.
All right.
So my best owner story, I'll flip back before I get into that. My best owner story has got to be, I'm going to call it proof is in the pudding.
Okay.
And so Marshall Reddick, a financial company who does a lot of investment financing, put out an article that says the #1 hottest rental market, long-term rentals, in the U.S., and this was last year, is Cape Coral, Florida.
Long-term?
Long-term rentals.
Okay.
The hottest market is Cape Coral, Florida. The rents are going through the roof. Everybody knows people are just heading down to Florida in droves.
Okay.
And the hottest market's Cape Coral, a.k.a. Cape Snorkel, because they say nothing goes on in Cape Coral. And so massive expanded growth, right? And the long-term market is extremely hot. And I have the audacity to call a landlord to lease the property and sublease it on short-term rentals for profit.
I see.
And he put the thing out not 24 hours ago. And I get him on the phone, and he says, Ed, I'm going to let you know. I didn't expect the amount of response I got. And I've already had somebody who offered me $500 a month more than my asking, and one other person who said that they're going to pay me a year in advance.
Oh, my goodness.
So your offer had better be really, really good. Well, I pulled back my Marshall Silver training and I thought, what do I know about this guy? What do I know that he's after? Yeah, he's a landlord, he wants money, but it occurs to me that he's up north, yet he has a rental property in Florida? Why would he have that? Well, probably because when he bought the house, he wanted a property he'd be able to stay in, because everybody wants to come to Florida.
Yeah.
So I made a unique offer to him on the phone in the moment, and I said, as your tenant, I plan to do short-term rentals. You know this already. We have a $1 million host guarantee. We have a $1 million liability policy through channels like Airbnb and VRBO. Your property is professionally cleaned, it's professionally maintained, and I'll tell you what, Bob, if you ever want to come down and stay in it, it's already furnished, it's ready to go. No big deal. You let me know. I'll let you stay 2 weeks out of the year for free. How does that sound? I immediately got...
His big why.
Oh,
you got the why there.
Got the why. That's right. Immediately, it became a partnership with him leasing the property to me, and now we have regular communication, and it's been a fantastic property, great project, and it's been very profitable. But to beat that kind of offer in that kind of market, that is proof in the pudding that it
Okay,
works.
I have to agree about that. Tell me about, I want to hear about the guests that you took to dinner. I want to hear about that. Your wife said something to me about that.
So these ladies fly in from Ireland.
Okay.
And they are just so friendly, and they're outgoing, but they're the kind of guests who they're not reading the information, and they just have question.
They want it
question.
fed to them.
They
don't
want it fed to
I
them.
see. They didn't
Absolutely. So they show up, and as fate would have it, if I'm not a fate person, but it's now pouring raining. It's pouring raining in Florida. Okay, as it does.
Sunny Florida is raining.
It does.
Okay, yes, it does.
And they can't get in the front door. They can't get in the front door.
They didn't know their key.
They didn't know the key code. So we feed them the key code, right? They go to hit it. Unfortunately, the batteries have died. We put in a work order. Cleaners were supposed to swap out the batteries. We have a approval check. Yep. I don't know if they didn't install them all the way or what.
Push it in or something. Yeah.
So we grab our thing of keys. And I'm brand new into short-term rentals, okay? So I didn't know. I didn't think. I knew, but I didn't think, why don't we label each key for each property? So
I'm not even going there.
So we go out to the property, okay? And I've got my big key ring of keys. But I also have a lockbox outside that keeps another copy of the key for this property, right? So I've got some redundancy here, right? We just installed the lockbox in this property, and nobody can remember the code to the lockbox. It's sitting outside, right? We've got this keychain full of key rings that aren't labeled, and it's pouring down raining on all of us. But they took an Uber there, so they don't even have a car
to get into.
Right? No. And we're all just in the pouring down rain. We're laughing, and
they're from Ireland.
Yes. So we figure out the lock, and we end up taking them to dinner as, just to be polite and friendly.
That was nice.
And they end up just being the nicest people you ever met in your life. Any horror story that could happen with a guest was happening to them on the way in. They were just at the point of laughing everything off, and they just had a positive attitude. And I'll tell you, they're the kind of guests that everybody wants. And I like to say, if it hadn't been for those few things that went wrong, we unlocked the door, I pulled out the batteries, I popped them back in, and everything worked. I didn't see anything wrong. I guess you could say we rolled the batteries, and everything was working fine in the locks. And I didn't really see anything wrong, but it was just circumstance after circumstance. We couldn't remember the code, didn't know the key.
We've all had vacations like that. I'm just saying, we've all had times where that's happened. I'm glad it ended so nicely.
It did.
Good.
This episode of How We Grow is brought to you by Blue Tent. Blue Tent is proud to offer digital marketing solutions for vacation rental professionals. Expand your visibility to new travelers and book more guests with the team at Blue Tent, featuring direct booking sites, email marketing, digital marketing, channel management, and more. Discover what Blue Tent can do for your short-term rentals at bluetent.com.
Okay, so let's get to the meat of the matter. Okay. I'm fascinated. So you have a private club because there are rules and regulations that apply to private clubs that might not apply to public short-term rentals.
That is correct.
Tell me about that.
You definitely want to know about this.
Everybody wants to know about this.
Absolutely. So in Prosperity Club, we deal with a lot of information. We talk about trust structures. We talk about private membership associations and how they can benefit you. And what I'm about to tell you is something that most people immediately put up a block to. They just don't want to believe it.
Okay.
And so what I usually say is, look, you can believe it and receive it, or you can doubt it and do without it. It's as simple as that, okay? But I will make it akin to another, so forget short-term rentals, I'm going to talk about drinking clubs. Everybody knows. Yeah. This is all of a sudden I have your attention, right? Let's talk drinking clubs now. So in Utah, Wyoming, I hear Texas, even North Carolina, prohibition ended in the early 1900s.
Absolutely, but we have dry counties.
Yes, dry counties.
We do.
Are there, in any of these dry counties, are there bars where you can go and buy alcohol? Have a drink?
Well, there are, yes.
But wait a second. Didn't you just say that those counties are dry?
Yeah, but I forgot about that. They do have clubs like that in North Carolina where we can go, no matter if it's Sunday or whatever, where you could go to drink.
Sure. So let me get this straight. There's a club that you can go to.
Yes.
Yet the government says you're not allowed to do that.
there are blue laws that say you can't do it.
Okay. Well, you're talking now about public and private.
Okay.
Because the drinking club is private. And you have a right under the U.S. Constitution to association. You have a right to private contract.
I hear your dad's an attorney, I'm just saying.
Yeah, well,
I hear you. As a
I'm
matter of fact,
politician.
your dad's a very famous attorney. We're not going there. But obviously you passed down some of those brains to you. That's a very cool. So, I mean,
I'm not an attorney, and
No.
this isn't legal advice.
No, absolutely
This is just
not.
what I'm doing.
But it's just very interesting. And the concept, someone said to me today after they met you, they said, boy, I've got to go look at that, but if that's real, and they just left it hanging. So you can do things with this private prosperity club that you might not, in the private sector, that you might not be able to do in the public sector because you don't have the same legislation, the same rules and regulations. Tell me about that.
Absolutely. And here's the beauty of it.
In Florida.
All over the U.S.
Highest, one of the, well, we are regulated here, but you're very well regulated there as well.
We are very regular. Well, to some degree, and it depends on the area. And I'll tell you, it works like this. The beauty of this is that there's already over 70 Supreme Court decisions, I swear we keep finding more all the time, that already uphold your right to private association. In fact, the Supreme Court already ruled our constitutional rights to association don't solely apply to any one individual, which means your LLC can be a member of a private membership association.
So I'm just going to bring this up because it's been in the news quite a bit. And I've also been promised a podcast with one of the founders of Zillow, who is now working with a lot of people, Bezos, I think, together. They're forming these private LLCs as well, and they're doing like shares, like they're taking stock in the home as it is as being a company and sharing it that way. So this is not off the wall for me to hear this, to tell you the truth, because of what I've heard in the last year and a half, and some of the things that they're thinking about doing.
Well, everybody's looking for a way to skirt laws or find a loophole. You can't run a short-term rental if it has a blue door in the front. Well, I've got a red door, so that doesn't apply to me.
Right.
And that's a loophole. We
Right.
actually operate under a legal exemption that's already been decided by the supreme law of the land.
Right.
So everybody's getting creative in their thinking, yet
We have to.
Well, look at what other industries have already done. Holistic health uses private membership associations.
Exactly.
This is nothing new.
Right.
It's already been decided. However, nobody's really thought about how do we apply this to short-term rentals, and that is what Prosperity Club PMA does. And we have designed Prosperity Club PMA, you're going to love this part, it's not just for us. Our members aren't only guests at our short-term rentals, they're also other hosts and property management companies as well. We've designed this to be open up to anybody in the United States who's facing government regulations interfering. And what we say in private membership is one of the benefits of having a PMA is the ability to continue to operate your business in a world of ever-changing rules and regulations. So imagine that you're a short-term rental host and you find out that what used to be a 7-night minimum turned into a 30-night minimum, turned into a 6-month minimum, and now they're saying no new short-term rentals at all.
Yeah, exactly. And there are places like that for sure.
Here in North Carolina even, as we're in Asheville right now. And I'll tell you, it's amazing when you're on this side of the aisle. We come out of legislative law and we stand on contract law. Our First, Fourth, Fifth, Ninth, and 14th Amendment rights to private contracts. Because when you agree to step out from being a public customer and become a private individual inside of our umbrella of association, we basically effectively tell the government, you have no authority here.
Right. It's a private membership.
It's private. And the government cannot change one word of a contract. And this is just the tipping point, or the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the Prosperity Club. You see, we don't have this club just skirt laws or anything like that, or figure out loopholes. No. We operate in a legal exemption because we offer our members legitimate products and services, including trust structure of the elite and the wealthy, the kind of trust that Grant Cardone himself gains a 30% buying edge on all of his competition. The kinds of trust that, as I understand it, I don't know personally, but I've heard that Donald Trump uses this, which is why he didn't want to show his tax returns. We show owners how to take everything out of their lives and do what Norman Rockefeller said, own nothing and control everything.
Just do it with trust,
Yeah, well, own nothing and control everything. Most people think that he meant control somebody else's property, let them own it, and that's part of it. But how would you like to say, I bought something and I sold it into my trust. I took back a demand note. And now I earn money on the note. The trust owns the property, and it's not an alter ego of me.
Okay, spoken like a wealth manager.
There you go.
Just saying, I've heard this.
There you go.
And it comes from my wealth manager, from the people that speak about wealth management to me.
Yeah.
So you're really taking your expertise. It's not an off-the-wall concept, but you're taking it is an off-the-wall concept. I'm just saying it is.
To a lot of people, but you understand that this has already been decided. It's been around for hundreds of years.
Right, you're just taking advantage of the legalities that exist and applying the techniques you have to wealth management to something like this. This is really smart.
Your right to host your property has already been decided. People just don't know it yet, and I'm here to evangelize them.
That is so cool. Guys, if you want to know more about this, we're going to have a podcast later on with him, but for right now, this is where we are in it, and I am really grateful for you for coming to talk with us today.
Absolutely. It was great to be here. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
I look forward to the next time we get to chat. I can't wait to see how this grows.
Absolutely.
I really am excited, Ed.
Me too.
It's a new concept.
There you go.
So Ed, tell me how people can find out more information about this so they can go check it out for themselves.
Absolutely. I have two websites for you.
Okay.
The one for me and my contact information and my entire world of everything I do in real estate investing, you can find out my contact information at edrocks360.com.
Okay.
And no, it's not an ego thing. I actually play guitar, and my wife made that domain up. And I went, really? She thought my last name was too long to throw into a domain name. So it's edrocks360.com. I like to say it's 360 because apparently 360 days a year I rock, and 5 days a year I suck. I don't know. I guess that's what it is. She said it's something about, she said it's something about 360 degrees circle. I don't know. The other website, though, to learn more about the Private Membership Association, to join our club, or to just get on a webinar that we're doing I'm going to teach you more about it, is hostingrights.us.
All right, hostingrights.us.
Hostingrights.us, yes.
So tell me, how does someone join?
Well, you go to hostingrights.us, and you'll see all the pretty pictures of me and all of the fantastic verbiage in there. You click a button, and we'll send you over the private membership contract once your membership dues are paid.
Is it really expensive?
No.
And does it auto renew? I mean, is it one time, or is it you have to renew every
year?
Year?
It's annual.
Okay.
Yes, and I've heard of other memberships charging exorbitant fees, so I'm not surprised you asked that question.
Yeah, I too. So.
Yeah. No, it's very affordable. We understand that in the short-term rental industry, there's a lot of money to be made.
Yeah, there is.
And there's legal fees and overhead, and certainly I need to teach my hosts what's compliant, what isn't, how to run their business, and show them how to do all the information using fantastic products like LiveRes. And I need to show how we do the e-signatures and how do we actually have the properties on the OTAs like Airbnb and VRBO in a way that makes sense, but yet we put in our description things like membership required. We don't allow just anybody from the general public to rent our properties. You have to be a member because it's private contract.
Very interesting. Thank you again.
You're
I'm really
welcome.
grateful. That's good information, guys.
Thanks for having me on your show.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure.
This episode of How We Grow was brought to you by Blue Tent Marketing. To find out more about how Blue Tent Marketing can help grow your vacation rental business, visit bluetent.com. Make sure to search for How We Grow in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found, and hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. On behalf of the team here at Inhabit, thanks for listening.